Hi guys, welcome to Flash Fact. Today we're going to take a look at something that seems fairly simple, but that some people seems to still struggle with, especially when they start playing. It's the Supercharge. I understand sort of. Not every game has a mechanic like the Supercharge, so someone who never played with such mechanic may not quite understand how it works. So let's try to make that a little clearer for people. Essentially, every powers has four supercharges. We're going to use electric in this example. I may make one or two more examples with other powers to try to cover all the different supercharges that you can have, but this should be a good start. And essentially the supercharges are indicated. Like you can see just beneath the level requirement, Megavolt says that it requires level 8, and it's a 50% supercharge cost. I will explain that a bit later. So essentially what this does is that it does a lot of damage, it roots enemy, it stuns enemy, and it does heavy damage, heavy electric damage. As opposed to the other supercharge, which is Group Transducer, which essentially protects yourself and your entire team, and it heals over time your group. Essentially, every few seconds your group will get some healing, which will heal them, and it will protect them from incoming damage. So for a short while, they'll be protected from damage. And even better, each attack they will receive will heal a small amount of damage. And some damage may even be directed back at their attacker. So it's a fairly good supercharge. And in Amperage, you have two other supercharges, which are essentially here you protect your team against control effect, and you restore health and power over time. So every few seconds you'll restore some health and some power for a short amount of time. So essentially it's something that protects your team a bit, that heals them, and that gives them back power. It has also some power interaction, but we won't go into that in this video. And it's a 50% power charge. Essentially, all the supercharges so far were 50%. The exception to that is Circuit Breaker, which is only 35%. And this one creates a localized burst of electric that damages and knocks back enemy. It increases critical attack chances, it increases critical attack damage, and it protects yourself, and it regenerates some health. So it does a whole bunch of things. So what does the 35% and 50% means? I'll show you right now. Essentially, if you look to the top left corner of the screen, you'll see my name, Flash Fury. Underneath, you'll see my character's health, which is the yellow-green bar, depending on your screen. And under that, you'll see a blue bar that is your power. Like when you use power, you see that blue bar is going down. And underneath the blue bar, there is what is the supercharge bar. Essentially, when you attack enemies, you should see after a while, you can see that like there's an orange bar that starts growing and growing and growing slowly. So the supercharge is something that you build over time. So as you fight, your supercharge will build up. And so what the 35% mean or the 50% mean? Like let's say my supercharge is completely full. Well, if I want to cast a supercharge that uses 50% power, I'm going to be able to use I'm going to be able to use it twice with one supercharge bar. If it costs 35%, then I'm going to be able to cast it almost 3 times. Essentially, I'm going to be able to cast it twice, and then I'll just a bit later, once I build up my supercharge a bit, I'm going to be able to cast it a 3rd time with more or less the same bar. So you can see as I'm fighting, my supercharge is building up. It's pretty much that simple. And you can see to the bottom in my loadout, you can also see it build up there. So as you can see, with all my 50% are almost full because I'm almost halfway through my supercharge bar in the top left corner. And you can see that my 35%, I could use it already. So once the circle is full around the supercharges, as you saw, the powers I highlighted, and it's telling you that, okay, now I can use them. At this point, I pretty much can use all of them only once. So we'll keep on building it up, building it up, building it up. Also, when you break a healing barrel, not only will it heal your health, but it will also refill your supercharge. So even if your health is full, if your supercharge is half full, or essentially if your supercharge is not full, don't be afraid to use a healing barrel to also fill your supercharge. It works. It does both your health and your supercharge. Well, actually, it does three things. It builds your power also. So as you see, we're getting there. We're pretty close to having a full supercharge bar. And there you go. Now the bar is full. So as you can see in my loadout, now I can use my supercharges. So let's try this one. So this is the first one, which pretty much heals and does a whole bunch of things. And as you saw, my orange bar in the top corner, it emptied by about 35%. So I'm going to try and refill it a bit. So now let's try and cast another supercharge. Like this is the one that protects you and your entire team. Essentially, that electric effect as you see around the character, every team member would have that. So as long as they have that, they're fairly protected against damage. They heal their power and the health back, and a few other goodies like that. But as you can see now, I don't have enough supercharge left to cast anything. So let's rebuild it. And ideally, like this is just as an example, you never have 4 supercharges in your loadout. The reason is because it's a limited use power. Ideally, I just suggest having only 1 supercharge. And even in some cases, there's a few exceptions though, and I will show one in a later video because it will require a video on its own. But with certain characters that have, let's say, stealth abilities, there's a way to have multiple supercharges. I'll show that in some other videos. So essentially, we have now enough power to cast each of those. So let's see. So I'm going to use another 50%, which is this one here. So this one does a lot of damage. It stuns your enemies and it knocks them back. So let us rebuild again. So as you can see again in the loadout, you can see the supercharge build around the powers, the orange circle forming around the powers, and you can see also build up in the top left corner. So these are the 2 ways that you can see that your supercharge is building up. And also it tells you when you're ready to use your supercharge powers. As you see, it's building up, almost ready to use at least. The first one is already ready to use. The other 3 are not quite ready yet, but almost there, almost there. And there we go. So let's use the last one just to see what it does. So that one pretty much heals and gives power to everyone, and it protects them for a bit. Gives some immunities and some things like that. So as you can see, the first one was 35%, the second one is at 50%, the third one also, and the fourth one also. And the fourth one also has some power interactions, but and so does the first one, come to think of it. But it's something that should that I'll keep for another video at some point. When I do a proper video explaining the electric powers, I'll probably explain the electric powers interactions. Although if you've seen any videos with either Flash Fury or Captain Lightning, you've already seen some of those power interactions at work. So that was sorry, that was Flash Fact for today. So hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.